My brother laughed so loudly that half the shooting range turned to look. "Don't worry about Nora," Travis said, holding up his shiny pistol case like a trophy. "She works logistics for the army, counts socks, meal packs, maybe paper clips. If the target moves, she'll probably ask it to sign a form." The men beside him chuckled. My nephew Eli stared at the floor. My mother pressed one thin hand against her chest and smiled the way she did whenever she wanted a cruel moment to pass quietly. I stood there in a faded gray hoodie, 41 years old, scars hidden beneath my sleeves. I had landed in California 18 hours earlier, after a mission my family would never be allowed to hear about. And my brother was explaining to strangers that I was afraid of guns. Then the owner of Patriot Range walked behind the line and stopped. He was an older man with silver hair, a limp, and eyes that had seen enough war to recognize what Travis was only pretending to be. His gaze landed on the small black raven stitched beneath the strap of my range bag. "Captain Hayes?" he said quietly. Every laugh died. Travis lowered his case. "You know my sister?" The old man did not look at him. He straightened his back like a soldier reporting to command. "Yes, sir," I said softly. My mother blinked. Travis stared at me like I had become a stranger in front of him. And for the first time in my life, my brother had nothing to say. That morning, I almost stayed home. I sat alone in my small oceanside apartment with 14 missed calls on my phone. Family day at the range, Travis's birthday. Be normal for once. Normal had always meant shrinking. It meant Travis being loud, my mother pretending not to hear, and me smiling while everyone called me Aunt Supply Closet. The lie began 10 years earlier. I came home from a deployment with stitches under my hairline and blood on my collar. My mother saw it and collapsed in the hallway. After that, I gave her the version she could survive: logistics support, base supply, mostly paperwork. She believed it because she needed to. Travis believed it because it made him feel bigger. The truth was different. I was Captain Nora Hayes, attached to a special operations task force most civilians never hear about. I had worked Overwatch in places my family could not pronounce, and guided teams through nights so dark even the stars seemed classified. But at home, I was the disappointing daughter in comfortable shoes. I drove to Patriot Range because of Eli. He was 16, kind, nervous, and already learning to copy his father's volume. The last time he asked whether being scared made someone weak. Travis said, "Fear is for people who aren't prepared." I wanted to tell Eli the truth. Fear is for people who understand what can happen. Inside the range, Travis was already performing for 2 men near the counter. "Nora," he called. "There she is, the quartermaster queen." My mother, Sylvia, sat near the observation glass. "You made it, honey." "Of course," I said, kissing her cheek. Travis leaned toward the instructor. "She's harmless. She alphabetizes ration boxes for a living." His new gloves and custom pistol made him look like a man afraid of being ordinary. "You shooting today?" he asked. "I can watch." He laughed. "That's probably best." For 20 minutes. Travis explained firearms with the confidence of someone who had learned danger from videos. Every sentence was loud enough for the room to hear. I stayed quiet. In my line of work, the loudest person in the room is often the least dangerous one. Then Travis fired. 5 shots. 2 missed the paper. 1 clipped the edge. The others wandered around the target like they were looking for a way out. He blamed the ammunition. Then he turned toward me with a grin. "Your turn. Logistics." My mother stiffened. "Travis, don't tease your sister." It's education. Mom, everyone should know their limits. Something old and tired moved inside me, not anger. Something deeper. The exhaustion of being reduced until even love came wrapped in pity. I know my limits, I said. Travis smiled wider. Great. Then show Eli how paperwork handles pressure. Eli whispered. You don't have to, Aunt Nora. I looked at him and thought about my mother's heart, about Eli's future, and about 10 years of swallowing my own name at family dinners. Then I set my bag on the bench. The zipper sounded too loud. Inside was a plain black case. No flashy logo, no decoration, just a tool that had been maintained with respect. Travis's smirk flickered. Where did you get that? Work. I stepped to the lane. The room narrowed, noise softened, light sharpened. I breathed once, reminding my body that fear did not get to drive. I raised the pistol. 6 shots followed so quickly the room seemed to inhale. When the target rolled back, there was one ragged hole at the center. Nobody spoke. Travis stared at the paper like it had betrayed him. Eli's mouth fell open. My mother stood so fast her cardigan slipped from one shoulder. What was that? Travis said. Before I could answer, the range owner stepped closer. His name tag read Hank Alvarez. He looked at the target, then at me, then at the raven on my bag. Recognition moved across his face slowly, painfully, like an old wound opening. Captain Hayes, he said. A cold line ran down my spine. I had not used that name in public for a long time. Travis laughed awkwardly. Captain? No. Man. She's supply? Hank turned toward him. Son, she doesn't count socks. The range went still. Hank's voice lowered. I served with men who came home because Captain Hayes was watching their corridor. My mother made a small sound behind me. There it was. The life I had kept sealed, spilling into light. Travis looked from Hank to me. What is he talking about? I cleared the pistol and set it down with hands that did not shake. I told you I worked logistics, I said. You lied. I protected Mom. My mother's face crumpled. Nora? I turned toward her, and for the first time that day, all the armor inside me cracked. I'm sorry, I whispered. I couldn't tell you the truth without risking what it would do to you. What truth? Travis demanded, but his voice had lost its weight. Hank answered before I could. She's special operations. She's been doing work people like you put on bumper stickers. It was crueler than I would have said it, but it was true enough to make Travis flinch. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Eli stepped toward the target and touched the single torn hole in the paper. He looked back at me with something I had never seen from him before. Not awe, not fear, recognition. All those times Dad said you were scared, he said quietly. You just let him. I swallowed. Yes. Why? Because silence was easier than explaining the cost of surviving. But I only said, because peace was expensive, and I kept paying for it. My mother began to cry. Travis's face hardened, then collapsed. He had used me as a measuring stick for his own importance. Now the stick had turned into a mirror. You should have told us, he muttered. I looked at him then, really looked. No, I said. You should have stopped humiliating me before you knew whether I was impressive. That landed harder than the shots. His mouth opened, then closed. I continued, and my voice did not rise. That made it stronger. You don't get to respect me only after another man confirms I matter. I kept a secret to protect Mom. You use that secret to make yourself feel powerful. The range was silent except for the hum of the lights. Travis looked at the floor. I turned to Eli. Strength does not mean being the loudest person in the room. It means staying calm when everyone else is pretending not to be afraid. Sometimes, it means walking away from people who only love you when you make them look good. Eli nodded slowly. I packed my case. My mother reached for my hand as I passed her. Her fingers were cold. "Were you in danger?" she asked. The old lie rose up by habit, but I was tired of being a ghost in my own family. "Yes," I said softly, "many times." Her tears fell harder, but she did not collapse. She did not clutch her chest. She held my hand tighter. "My girl," she whispered. "My brave girl." I had heard officers call me commander, but nothing in my life had ever hurt as much as my mother finally seeing me. Travis called 3 days later. "I was wrong," he said. I did not rush to forgive him. Some wounds do not close because someone finally notices the blood. "I'm setting rules," I told him. "No more jokes. No more lectures about courage. If you humiliate me again to feel taller, you will lose access to my life." "Understood," he said. A week later, Sunday dinner felt different. Travis spoke less. Eli sat beside me, on the porch. He asked, "Did you ever get scared?" "Every time," I told him. "Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's not letting fear choose your values for you." Months have passed since that day at Patriot Range. My mother no longer imagines me as a clerk behind a desk. Travis sold half his tactical toys. Eli texts me when he feels angry and asks whether he is reacting from fear or principle. As for me, I still do not talk much about the places I have been. Some silence is privacy, some silence is protection, and some silence is simply the shape grief takes when it has lived in you too long. But I no longer let my family mistake my quiet for weakness. That day, the truth arrived with 6 shots through one hole, an old soldier saying my name, and my brother finally understanding that the sister he mocked had been carrying a country's worth of secrets in silence. I did not destroy him. I destroyed the lie he had built between us. And sometimes, that is the only kind of justice a family can survive.